Mute.
Okay. And I believe that's the start. So, hey, guys, welcome back. This is yet another MaliceCast TV talk. We are talking Supernatural, Season 13, Episode 7, War of the Worlds. Really, really nice title there. I dug it. We are, I don't know if you can see here, we're one short at the moment. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty with Gia Tomcat. I'm sure that she will be jumping in as soon as her equipment decides to cooperate. But with me, as always, and sometimes she's here even when I'm not, is Superwhovian Freak. How you doing, Super?
Dude, it was a good day. I got off work early. Got off about 2.5 hours early. You can't do that on a Friday, you know?
Early release, sounds like you were in prison.
Well, you know, when you're chained to a phone, sometimes it does feel like a prison.
You put the shackles on and everything. That's distressing. I had a day and a half. I've been working. I believe this is the first time I can remember working luxury retail on Black Friday. It was a day. So I was happy to get home and rewatch this thing so that we could do this cast tonight. We are a day late, obviously, but you know, yesterday was Thanksgiving. We all had places to be. Even though the episode was on, I didn't even know it was going to be on until ICZorro Chow started tweeting about, hey, are you going to watch tonight?
Yeah, seriously. I think this is the first time that I can recall them ever, because they've never been on Thursday nights, or they haven't been on Thursday nights in forever, but any week of the CW having shows during Thanksgiving, you know?
I know, it's a little strange.
Why do you want to compete with that? The sports that are going on, it just doesn't make sense to me.
But they did it, and in my opinion, it was a pretty solid episode. Looks like we're going to have Gia Tomcat here any second now. We got the away screen for her. That means she's in Hangouts. Good.
I would give certain parts a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
The ending dropped it down to me to a 7.5. But there were some very, very, very solid things about this episode.
Absolutely.
When she gets back on, I see her cat.
Yeah, me too.
So what do you think, Gia? Where did you rate this episode? I gave it parts of it a 10 out of 10, but the ending dropped it down to a 7.5 for me.
The ending, again, they don't do endings very well. It was cheap and nasty again. So I was like, oh, this is a 10. And then when the ending came, I went up 2.
Oh, 2. Well, dang, I at least kept it around a 7.
Yeah, no, I can still appreciate why they did what they did, but just knowing that these two writers, Buck Lemmings, just they make it mean and they make it ugly, and if something happens to a character that you think beyond the scope of plot is actually unfair or just bad in general, it's probably a Buck Lemmings episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yay!
Hey, now we can see her again. So to get kicked off, we start with the previously on, and we're seeing Mary and Lucifer, and immediately I think, oh man, finally,
right?
We've been waiting so long for these two to come back, and then we only get one of them in the episode. So I still want to know what's happening with the other.
Well, maybe I'm glad. Maybe I'm glad that they didn't, because God knows what Buck Lemmings would have done with Mary's character in this episode.
That's a fair point. They did actually. They wrote the last one that she was in, and that was somewhat threatening to females in general.
You know, this could have been, it could have been some torture. PORN. Spell that, YouTube.
So we start out with Lucifer talking about his dad, and we see little vignettes of the universe, and he's talking about how dad was there, and he's not the best dad, and everything was kind of crappy. He had a couple of good seconds there, with the creation. And And we see that the whole reason he's talking about this is that he is locked in essentially like a, I can't remember what it's called, beggar's cage or like an open Iron Maiden kind of thing. And the Archangel Michael is just got his head on the back, hand on the back of his head, and he's making him like he's, I believe what he said was, I was just riding your cerebellum there for a couple of seconds. Yeah. Gia, what do you think about the fact that apparently archangels are able to heavily influence each other like that?
I think it's like living out of somebody's back pocket all the time. This is why telepathy is a bad idea. Because, dang,
everybody thinks they'd want to be able to read other people's minds, but if you had to hear what they're thinking all the time, it would be terrible.
It would be terrible.
Buffy covered that quite well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but the truth will not set you free.
It won't.
The truth will break your heart.
If you had selective telepathy, now that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I think when I was an angsty blogger in my mid to early 20s, I wrote a whole thing about this where I was like, would I really want to know what everybody's thinking all the time? No, I wouldn't. So we got.
No, I'd rather fly.
No, but selective telepathy would be great if you could just choose. Like, what are they thinking right now? Yeah.
I'd still rather.
So
fly.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather have super speed.
Woo!
Yeah, and let us know what you would rather have in the comments or whatever. So we go back to the bunker and we see that Sam, talking to Dean, has put out an APB, an all points bulletin, to every hunter that they know, trying to figure out where Jack is, because the last time we saw them, Jack snapped them all across the room, said, "I'm really sorry," and then just disappeared. We see throughout this episode that a lot of people are trying to figure out where Jack is, and nobody has any clue. Super, what's your opinion? Where do you think Jack is?
I think he's in purgatory because no one's going to look for him in purgatory. I mean, honestly, where else could he be? He's not in heaven. He's not in hell.
Do we know that he's not in heaven?
According to the angels, I mean, he could be in heaven and just completely under the radar.
The way that they were talking about him, and this is later in the episode, we'll definitely get to it, but the way they were talking about him, I'm not convinced he's not in heaven right now.
Yeah, he could have foolishly gone to heaven. It's very possible, but if he's not in heaven,
in what other context could we convincingly say he could have foolishly gone to heaven?
I mean,
Gia, what's your opinion? Where do you think Jack is at this point?
He's in Omaha. I think he's in an ordinary town trying to figure his shit out because his mom was human. He doesn't relate to his dad.
But then why would nobody be able to find him then?
Because
no hunter, not heaven, not hell.
Right, but he's got enormous power. Yeah. Couldn't he hide his enormous power too?
He's got a Klingon cloaking device up. Nobody can get at him unless he attacks.
It worked for the demon child in season 5. That's what Cass said about Jesse, was that, and if he chose to hide himself, he could hide himself from any being in creation, even God. So maybe Jack has the same ability, just the angel side versus the.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, because I think the writers want us to think that he's in heaven, hell, or purgatory, or the nothing, because it's a red herring.
It could be. It could be. I hope he goes to purgatory, and I hope he brings Benny back. Hashtag make it happen, writers.
Nice. So we go over here, and after talking about how they put out a bulletin for all the hunters to figure out where Jack is. Cass says,
if you're in our chat room, Jack says he's in California. That's where Jack is.
Yeah. So not in heaven, says Mest. So Cass has decided that he's going to go ask the angels if they have heard anything about Jack, because he feels responsible for the kid. It's his foster kid or whatever you want to call it. And you can just see Dean like, dude, really? We just got you back. Are you going to do something where we can lose you again? Super. Did you feel that worry from Dean?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And the incredulousness of not just him, but the entire fandom. Because I'm like, are you kidding me at this point? Are you, and it's not even that he left. That's fine. But it's like, and you've been burned and you've been burned. And this is what drives me nuts about the Buck Lemmings episodes, is that their characters constantly make the same mistake over and over and over again. And every other writer has them grow and learn and put safety measures in place. And instead, he just walks straight into the frickin' lion's den covered in steaks saying, eat me, I'm here.
Super. These writers are writing constantly fan fiction. Every episode they write comes out like fan fiction.
Buck Lemmings?
Yes.
Like fan fiction from fans that don't actually like the show that much.
Well,
yeah, maybe.
Fan fiction from fans that
characters,
want wish fulfillment.
Yeah. I don't know. We see at some point, and I'll go ahead and skip up to that scene. We see Cass go and face the angels. He it's Joe from Eureka, Sheriff Joe, and we see him ask, and she says something along the lines of, if we had Jack, we'd be putting him to work. And this is something that I've brought up before, is that all these supernatural entities keep fighting against the Winchesters, and they keep getting killed off en masse. And I was thinking before, and I've said this on the podcast before, at some point, aren't they going to realize, like, almost no angels or demons had died since creation, and in the last 13 years, they're just getting wiped out.
Yep.
And the angel that Cass talks to says, dude, we're almost going extinct. Nothing. Right. No angels have been created since the creation. Mm-hmm. So if we had access to Jack, a being with that kind of power, we're going to have to make new angels because we're running out of folks. Which is why I think there's a possibility that they might have him. Just the way she was saying that. It felt like she was feeling him out, like, do you agree with what we might be doing? Gia, what do you think?
They're going to need Cass to talk to Jack about everything, because I'm sure Jack would be like, hey, I'm not going to talk to nobody about nothing because I don't know who I am.
But I felt like that's what they were trying to do. It felt like they were trying to capture Cass to take him up there.
Oh, they were.
Yep.
Ace in the hole, though. They're doing what Hell's doing. They were going to keep him hostage, find him, and then say, you work for us or we're going to do this. Now, I think that they're underestimating him, because I think he would wipe all of heaven out if he fully intended to. But, them's the breaks.
Sure. So. Yep. So getting back in chronological order.
Yeah.
After Cass says that he's going to see the angels, we get Asmodeus, and I refuse to say it the stupid way they're saying it throughout the season. It's Asmodeus. That's just what it is. It's not Asmodeus. And we see that Asmodeus is also searching for Jack, and simply just by sitting there and chanting,
doing that weird
Jack.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Could you look?
I can see the incredulousness on your face.
I'm just like, what is that? I'm
just the frustration.
Say his name 3 times and he's gonna appear. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, Buck Lemmings is not the best at writing clever plot devices.
Yeah, and I feel bad for that actor. Like, I'm tearing apart his character a little bit. I think I don't think he's terrible, but he's not selling it. He's
doing what he's being paid to do. The writers are not selling it.
Yeah, he had bad. I think the writing was better the first episode that he was in, when he was talking about his backstory. But this just felt like top cliche villain, and I'm just like, the
cliche villain. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
So
flamboyant, to be evil. I just think if I come over with a handprint of mud and go, bah!
So in the chat channel here, we've got Jack Malice saying, actually it was Mess that started. He said, "Watch out, Super's going to go She-Hulk talking Buck Lemmings," and then Jack said, or we can say something like, "Buck Lemmings are the greatest SPN writers of all times," and stand back and watch the meltdown. And then Super, of course, responded with something that we're not going to repeat on here. but I would be right behind you. I love it. So we go back over to the alternate dimension. For lack of a better word, let's call it the hell dimension. Just to use a Buffy reference. And we see that Michael is still sort of, he's still holding. And by the way, everywhere I put it in my notes, Lucifer is always referred to as Lucy. So Michael is still holding Lucy hostage, and he says something about how he's going to be trading up to the better, brighter world that he saw in Lucy's head. And then we bring in the person that's been tweeting about it all friggin' week, where I was like,
I know.
Is he back? Is he back? Michael says something about, "Now we've got the best and brightest minds this world has to offer, including dun dun dun, dun," and he did the full on like Vanna White reveal to the door.
I know.
We get Kevin Tran back. Ozark Chow's in the house.
Good. I hope they bring him back over to the new dimension and let him live the life he should have lived, because they called him a prophet, but is he really a prophet?
It's I don't know.
Is he really?
I mean, how happy were you to see Ozark Chow back on the show?
I adore Ozark Chow. I don't know about Gia, but I think he's the one person that actually broke Jarrett off camera. They call him Master Chow at the cons. Do you remember in season 10 what had the sling in his at the beginning, and they were making fun of him? Dislocated his shoulder on accident. They were screwing around before a con and flipped Jarrett over, and he popped Jared's shoulder out of place, and it took like 6 to 8 weeks to heal. So they were making all the instead of, you know how they make those Chuck Norris jokes, they were substituting Ozark Chow's name.
Behind Ozark Chow's beard is just another fist. That's awesome. Sure.
Do you think the return of some of these people means that they're running out of plots?
I wouldn't say they're running out of plot. I think this is definitely a plot device, and I think that it has a lot of meaning, and it gives meaning to storylines that went before as well. Like it's a callback rather than just a useless thing or stunt casting. Because I think the fact that they introduced an alternate dimension, there's a lot of people that we could see again. You know, we've kind of seen
Bobby.
What's his name? Bobby. You know, now we've seen Kevin Tran, and there was a moment, I can't remember what it was, where you said something like somebody's dead, and Michael said, "Is he?" Something like that. I can't remember exactly. I don't think
Gabriel. It's got to be Gabriel, because I don't think they talked about Raphael. Nobody cares about Raphael.
No, that was kind of a douche.
Yeah, that guy was a schmuck. He was a schmuck. But characters, I think they will bring back. I think they will bring back Balthazar, Gabriel, and if they don't bring back Felicia Day at least for one episode, shame on them. They're missing a golden opportunity, and this would be a way for the fandom to finally forgive you for the way that you wrote her out of the show.
Yeah. And do Buck Lemmings get credit for writing the episode where Kevin Tran is reintroduced?
I will give them credit, because it was handled for the most part fairly well, considering they're the ones that wrote him off the show. It's only fair that they get to write him back in the show.
All right.
So,
and I like the crazy. Say it again.
I'm suspicious.
Of course. I like the crazy nervous energy that they gave him in this one, or at least the way he was playing it. just the whole, like, he seemed like somebody that had been up on Adderall for too long, which I guess kind of fits with his previous personality as well. So the reason that they brought him back in is that Michael is trying to figure out a spell. At some point, he says to Lucy, "Hey, man, we've been experimenting with interdimensional travel already." He brings Kevin Tran in to do this specific interdimensional spell to get to the world that Lucy's been describing. But, you know, he says, there's a catch. I need an archangel's grace, and you haven't been playing along. Well, they just happen to have an archangel trapped. So they take a bit of Lucifer's grace. We all saw what that did to Cass before.
Yeah.
How do we think this is going to play out long term for Lucifer? We a little bit later we see how, you know, what the immediate effects are, just loss of powers that he had. But do you think it's going to have a huge, like, character destroying effect like it had for Cass? Gia?
No.
No?
Lucifer is Lucifer. I don't see any change in him, and spoilers.
Super.
Well, he's going to be even grumpier than normal. He's going to be needier than normal. Attitude wise, no, he still thinks he's, you know, cock of the walk, and he's going to play that up. He's not going to let any weakness show, but
I feel like he tried that. I feel like he tried that later in the episode to not let weakness show, and it just didn't play.
It didn't. I don't know if they could sense it. I don't know how he knew right off the bat.
Yeah, and I kind of got that sense that as soon as we saw, and another point that I will give Buck Lemmings, they used the correct nickname. When we saw Evil Colonel Sanders sense that Lucifer was back,
Yes.
he immediately smiled in wicked glee, like, oh, it's him, but I feel like I'm stronger right now.
Yeah.
And that
so he's in for a humbling ride, because it took Cass down. It took all the angels down a peg, and now he's finally on the same playing field, and he doesn't know how to deal with that. He's not going to know how to deal with that. Mm-hmm. So, but that was the best line.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking to Sam. Evil Colonel Sanders is back. Like, come on,
we've been talking a lot about past episodes, past seasons even. If you haven't seen them, they're easily available. Go to our site, malice-corp.com. We've got a couple of links on there for Amazon. You can get past episodes streaming, get them on physical media if you're still into that kind of retro thing. And let's be honest, it's Black Friday today. You're going to buy stuff on Amazon anyway, so you might as well go through our site. You know, help us keep these videos going, help keep our site alive. We would very much appreciate it. So Sam and Dean have decided that while Cass is off looking for Jack, and there's not really anything they can do, they're going to go on a case. Might as well do some hunting. I mean, that is sort of their actual job. They have found a case of a bunch of witches being murdered. And as they're looking at video, good Lord, who is that? Really? Really?
Well, he got on board the no shave November, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, I felt a little beardy companionship with him there. Arthur Ketch, as far as we know, is back. So they go check out the area where the witches are being killed, and lo and behold, a witch shows up to talk to them. She says, you know, I know who you are. I make a point to know the enemy, and I'm a witch. I know you guys don't like witches, but I also know you like to help people. And I thought that was a really nice character moment for the two of them. Mm-hmm. Like, as even somebody that they are technically supposed to hunt, it's known within that community that, you know what, if you're just a decent person that needs help, you can maybe count on the Winchesters. I thought that was pretty cool. What did you think about a witch showing up to ask for help from the Winchesters, Super?
It wasn't surprising. desperate times call for desperate measures. Who are you going to go with? The people that you know will occasionally give a chance, or the person that's taken out your entire coven and kidnapped and tortured? You know?
Brutally tortured. Ugh.
Yeah. And I guess if anyone was keeping up with anything as far as the British men of letters had gone, they weren't keeping what they were doing a secret. They had to know. Maybe if she didn't realize he was with the British men of letters, that would have said something. But the enemy of your enemy is my friend. So,
right.
Who said that? Is that Sun Tzu? No, it wasn't Sun Tzu.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't. Yeah, it sounds like Musashi. 5 Rings.
My husband is making comments in the back, and he said, "I think it was Sonny and Cher."
No, that's I Got You, Babe, which is totally different.
Yeah.
I got you.
Which, I'm sorry, but I would love to see a disco episode of Supernatural. Can we please? I know they went back kind of 70s.
A Saturday Night Fever Supernatural.
But can we please, like in today's times, have it, where they're just confused as hell as to why they're suddenly in Saturday Night Fever?
Yeah, or not even that far back. Maybe they just really like Ace of Base. That was essentially disco in the 90s.
Yeah.
So after the witch shows up to help, we cut back to the alternate dimension, and Kevin Tran opens up a portal using Lucifer's angel grace, which, of course, Lucifer being Lucifer, who didn't see this coming? He surprises everybody, attacks all around, and escapes through the portal on his own back to the main world. And I kind of felt like looking around at all the different characters there and going, duh! But actually, my favorite.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because mine's after.
I was going to say, well, there was the people acting out of character. It's got one episode in every Buck Lemmings episode where someone is out of character, because if they were smart and they had been smart that whole time, it would have put him back in the cage. Why does no one put Lucifer in the gosh dang cage? Why does everyone keep Lucifer out of the cage? Just put him in the cage.
You're gonna have 2 minor flunkies holding his arm. That's all you're gonna do. That he should have been chained to something, or as you said, in that hanging cage, which clearly was hurting him somehow. I'd never seen Lucifer scream like that before, at the beginning of the episode. But yeah, Lucifer, he throws an elbow. He does a Stooges poke in the eye and dives at the crack, and he's free. And actually, my favorite part of the whole sequence was as he lands on the sidewalk, gets up and looks around. He goes, "What is this, Cincinnati?"
Like, how do you know that from just
you're just in another hell?
It's like,
well, because he's Lucifer and he recognizes hell when he sees it. Sorry to all the people that live in Cincinnati. Your football team's terrible.
I think I prefer Cincinnati.
Oh God, no, that's rough. That's maybe the one place. Well, it's Cleveland and Detroit, like the 2 worst places in Cincinnati. But I like that as he gets up in maybe Cincinnati, he's walking down the street. He's being a nice guy. He's like being polite. Like, excuse me, can you help me? Do you know where are we? And you just see these ladies just clearly upper middle class or above, and just don't make eye contact, Susan, or whatever it is. She says something about when are they going to clean these people off the streets? He looks at him. He goes, "These people? Yeah, lady, I'm Lucifer." Just doesn't work.
You thought she would have at least sneezed or something.
I know. I was thinking, does he have zero?
That's like one of my favorite lines ever. My ex-husband was Lucifer.
Yes.
Honey, you aren't Lucifer. My ex-husband was Lucifer. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, it's super. You're right. Like, does he have zero power left? I mean, he didn't dust her, but she should have at least had an itch on her neck or something.
But maybe the crossing over temporarily paralyzed him. Possibly.
And that's a good question. Do you think that the transition between worlds had an effect, and maybe it wasn't just the loss of part of his grace? Gia?
I just think it was another plot point, really. Another way to just show how I don't know. I don't want to think of him as vulnerable, but he's kind of vulnerable right now. He's, I've lost my son, and then, he's crossed over and he's had so much trauma. And
to be fair, he's never been, woe is me, I've lost my son. He's always been like, I'm going to get that kid. That's my kid.
Well, yeah, but I don't like him. I don't like him as a character.
You don't like Lucifer?
No.
Come on. I very much approve of the way that Mark Pellegrino is playing him, especially this season.
Yes.
I think he's less over the top, like cartoony, than he was before.
Yes. And he's dialed back, and he's playing on sympathies. I mean, that's all. I don't want to say it's an act. I think there's a ring of truth to it, but he is definitely trying to. But he's the ultimate backstabber. He will, which was, if you don't know that by now, then you are stupid and beyond stupid. But
well,
I like my villains villainous and my heroes heroic. That's why I'm not a Batman fan, but I do like Superman.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I get what you're saying, though. When you like it, you're not.
My face isn't frozen. I just have this look because you're wrong.
No, but I get what she's saying, though. For people that don't get on board with an anti-hero, I could see why you don't like a Batman or
okay.
Wouldn't call Deadpool an anti-hero, but
Tucker maybe from Payback. Or not Tucker, Parker, something like that. I don't know, the Mel Gibson movie. Great movie, great anti-hero. Well, I mean, even to skip a little bit out of order here, what you were saying about he's the ultimate backstabber, the scene with him and Cass in the bar, where Cass says, I don't know, let's say hypothetically you're lying. As you may know, Lucifer is referred to as the father of lies. Like, even when and that's finally in this specific instance gonna bite him in the ass. Even when you're telling the truth, everybody assumes you're not. So I think the only person that can truly believe anything from Lucifer right now is Michael, and that's only because apparently he can read his mind. So we get to just a little random scene where we see the hotel clerk that from Dodge City, where Dean and Sam and all them stayed, just being tortured and killed by Asmodeus. But that's where he feels Lucifer return and gets that wicked grin on his face. Speaking of people overacting, this dude is, I don't know if it's just the direction or the writing, but I'm not digging it.
Yeah.
So we get to the witch safe house, where the witch that had contacted Sam and Dean, she brings them there and gives them the lowdown on how she escaped from this British dude that was torturing her and killing all the other witches. And shows a little proof that she got brutally tortured with a hot knife, which, no thank you. And
that's Buck Lemming's hallmark, though.
Yeah, it is.
You're kind of like,
and I hadn't really thought of it. Yep, there's a female character that had been brutally used and is not much more than a plot device, because she says something along the lines of, I just want to make sure that nobody hears my name, that nobody knows I'm alive, that this guy can't find me. And Dean, of course, says, I was thinking kind of the exact opposite. And you can see, they're clearly going to use her as bait. And that's when we see, we see her sitting there just idly shuffling a deck of tarot cards, because that's what witches do in their free time, right? And
what do I know?
I mean, I'm not a practicing witch, so I couldn't.
Why no TV? Why no radio? I mean, why not show?
I know, right? Just a cabin in the woods.
Cabin
in
the woods.
She didn't have a board game. She didn't have, like, say, playing cards. All she had was tarot cards.
Oh, it's a safe house with no cell phone service.
Hey, there might be a solitaire game with tarot cards that we don't know. Predict your own death. Flip, flip, flip. So we see a smoke grenade, or not even a smoke grenade necessarily. It seemed to be some sort of like something beyond tear gas, but still not lethal. I don't know. As soon as that thing went off, she started choking and hit the ground. And then we see Ketch run in with a gas mask.
Yeah.
And immediately spray the room with bullets. Who do you think he thought was in that house? Gia? What do you think he was expecting resistance?
I'm sure he thought that Sam and Dean were close by. And I thought that smoke canister was like, oh, they're going to kill her with a plot device. Cool.
Yeah. He actually lived, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that must have been the clearest or the quickest clearing smoke grenade ever, because Sam and Dean shoot Ketch in the neck with a tranq dart, and 10 seconds later are running through the room in the gas with no real effect, dragging the living witch out, and we never see her again. Yeah, because why would we?
She might come back. Yeah, I mean, they've brought witches in, before that have owed them a favor and swoop in, and I don't know, they may hit her up again. She gave a name, and typically when they give a name,
I was going to say specifically, I forgot that she gave them a name. She gave them a reason that this dude was killing all the witches in the area. I forgot to mention it earlier. She mentioned that he was looking for Rowena.
Yeah. Which is not what you were expecting.
Oh, and that's what I was thinking of earlier when somebody said she's dead, and the look on somebody's face was, ooh, is she? So
spoilers.
So we could, we could see, we could see more characters that we thought were dead.
Yeah, I mean, she came to life once before. What's to stop her from doing it again?
Well, and this episode sort of clears that up. But before we get to that, we get what they believe to be Arthur Ketch tied up and at will in the bunker, and they're interrogating him and and he goes with the evil twin, not me, my twin. I'm Alexander. I'm not Arthur. Although he didn't have the tattoo anymore. That was their first clue that something might be wonky.
Yeah. Wonky. No tattoo. Why would I get a tattoo? I'm really hoping there's blooper footage somewhere of them all rapping Alexander Hamilton. Saying the name. No, I'm Alexander. I was doing it, so I hope to God they were.
I like that you said it was a stick-on, right? It was a stick-on.
Yeah.
That was a henna tattoo. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It looked great for about 2 weeks, and then it started to fade.
I just love that as soon as Ketch said, "No, I'm Alexander. That's my twin brother," Dean said, "Do I look stupid?" He goes, "Is that a hypothetical question?"
How much did you love the punch to the face, though?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kept punching him like with real live serious punches that would knock a person out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taking it like a boss. And I'm like, dude.
And later in the episode, his giant swollen eye is back to not a swollen eye.
Yeah. Is that how you knew it was Ketch, though, Gia? By the fact that he was taking it like a champ?
Dude.
No.
You knew. And I know they wanted to twist stuff, but
a twist would have been interesting. It would have been kind of fun. That would have been straight out of fan fiction, by the way.
For about half a minute, I was kind of thinking maybe this really is the twin. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because we saw Ketch get shot through the head. I was like, no, he's clearly dead.
Yeah, it's a headshot.
Yeah. This might be the twin that we never heard about before. I thought that would be a really cool way of bringing David Haydn-Jones back to the show without having to retread the same character. But we so literally my notes say Alexander Ketch. I almost bought it.
Almost bought it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was actually Arthur, not Alexander, when he asked about Mary.
Yeah. And Dean calls that out or later.
Yeah, the way his face goes like almost still, and he just has that look in his eye that he always got whenever he mentioned Mary before.
And how is your mother now?
How is, why would he care? He doesn't That
Mm.
he didn't know that person.
Mhm.
No, there was no reason for him to ask about Mary in any way, shape, or form. So,
yeah. Do you think that he's not so much a sociopath as just a guy that's really good at getting his job done? Because he does seem to have some sort of feelings for Mary. You know,
Spoilers.
no, not really.
It could go back to my theory that he was brainwashed like Mary was.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
maybe
that's a
he broke
possibility.
through. He broke through the
I don't know,
coding.
but we saw the whole childhood backstory of him, where he's, you know, if he's not a sociopath, he's close to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we see Sam and Dean.
I
Sam.
don't think there's any middle ground. You are a sociopath or you're
It's
not.
it's like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't.
Yeah.
We see Sam and Dean debating whether or not this is Arthur or Alexander, and Sam seems to be sort of how I was. Like, I think it could be true, and Dean doesn't buy it for a second, because that's Dean. He's the skeptic.
Yeah. Well, and after what he did, the character did to Mary, do you blame him?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we already kind of covered the Cass goes to visit the angels scene, which is the one that comes next. And then we go to Lucy and Cass in the bar discussing Michael and how he's coming to take over our world. And, you know, Cass giving the line, let's say hypothetically that you're lying, which I think I covered already, but man, I loved it. But my other favorite line in that whole scene was, I can't remember what Cass said, but Lucy responded with, "Oh, my dad."
Yes, I know.
Pellegrino is killing it.
Now that was funny. That was
a little nod to the fans. That was a little nod to the fans, because they say that all the time. They say that and "Oh my Chuck."
Oh my Chuck
Twitter,
is another good one.
Yeah, which is what Misha uses when he's on Twitter. He says,
Nice.
"By the name of Chuck, I bless thee."
Gia, what did you think of that whole scene with Cass and Lucifer talking in the bar? What did you think of the interplay between the two of them?
I think it could be, I know, I'm just terrible on this show, but I think it could have been better written. I really do. Maybe if
How so?
if they had let them, what do you call it? Not riffed off the dialogue. You know, if they had let him
ad lib.
Yeah, let him ad lib the whole thing and then see how it came out. You know, give him a goal, give him a start, and let him go.
Who's to say they didn't?
Well, they could have. Then they're not very good ad libbers.
Being a good actor doesn't mean that you're good at improv.
Right.
Super, what did you think of that scene?
No, they have good chemistry. It's not as good as, they're not as antagonistically fun as Cass and Crowley were, but this was Sassy Cassie, as I call him, Sassy Cassie at his best, and he wasn't letting Lucifer dictate anything, and that's good in my opinion. It's about damn time somebody lets himself be stood up for, because before he would have kowtowed and let Lucifer run the show, and not in this case. You know,
that was one of my other favorite moments in the scene where he said, Lucifer said something along the lines of like, hey, you know, between me, you, and my son, I think if we'd be able to push Michael out of here. And Cass says something along the lines of like, I think you're the weak link in that scenario. And he goes, okay, that was hurtful. Ouch.
Yeah, unfortunately, in a buffet, Lucifer right now is the pasta salad.
Pasta salad, so
just get eaten alive.
Pasta salad. It's like mayonnaise and celery and pasta salad.
Okay, that's gross pasta salad. Who eats that pasta salad?
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't sound good at all.
You know, Malice
was at the buffet. He's just sad lettuce garnish.
Right. Yeah,
he's the parsley garnish wilting on the side.
True. He's like the what do you call it? The store-bought cookies.
Okay.
Store-bought cookies.
I think I'm losing the thread on the food analogies here.
Malice had a really good point about Catch in the chat, that he is just doing his job, but he said you don't have to be a sociopath to be Catch. A person that kills for a living quickly has to divorce himself from empathy of others, or he would become insane. And I was
that's true.
Oh, that's a good point. That is
I do fully agree with that. But my personal
But
opinion, he was still brainwashed, and when he died, it was broken. And that's why.
And I think that one of the reasons that I was thinking he might not be completely a sociopath is that when he was still in character as Alexander and they were talking about him as Arthur, he very vehemently said, no, not disloyal, very loyal. What you're seeing is a company man doing his job very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting take. And that was kind of where I first started to think, yeah, this is probably Arthur.
Yeah.
It was also foreshadowing. It was totally foreshadowing. And for the end of the show.
So speaking of Catch, we see Cass calling Dean hidden around a corner, like Lucifer's not going to find him. But in the background, like, ooh, let me just sneak over here real quick.
But bathroom, I don't know.
Yeah, something. But we see at the other side of the conversation in the bunker, as Sam, or I think it was Sam, relaying to Dean something was off. We see Catch standing in the background in manacles, just eating the crap out of a sandwich. It's like, the hell, man, why'd you let him out? And Sam, of course, being the kind-hearted dude that he is, he's like, he hasn't eaten in like a day and a half, and it's not like he's going anywhere. Which, of course, proves to be false later. Yeah. Once more, a little bit of Lucifer and Cass at the bar, actually up at the bar at this point, and Lucifer's just kind of like finally getting around to asking questions about his kid. He wants to be proud papa. He said, Cass says something about, Cass said something about people that he's hurt or something like that. And Lucy's like, did he hurt him? Did he hurt him real good? Kid's a bruiser, huh?
Yeah. His mother, like in your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like he knows. In theory, all the angels should know that if they have kids, they're going to be more powerful than them. So he's proud papa when it comes to how the potential of his child. I think the actual line that Cass used was, we believe that if we can channel his energies in the right direction, he could be very useful. I think, kid's a bruiser. Huh? Of course, at that point, evil Colonel Sanders shows up. Dude can't not make an entrance, so he blows the friggin' doors off the hinges. And you can see immediately, Lucifer's scared.
Yeah, because he knows.
But I was thinking, as I always think of him as commodious. I don't know why. Commodious. He comes through, and did you notice that he's in a flying V? And I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna start dancing like Michael Jackson.
I thought he was going to score a goal against the Icelandic team.
Right.
I'm just going to start chanting quack, 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 quack.
I hope now there's a blooper reel of him doing that, because that would be priceless. Bring back the Mighty Ducks.
Speaking of which, how screwed up was that movie? Like, you got a DUI, so your penalty is go coach kids hockey. No. Yeah.
Anyway. As a kid, but I get that now, and I'm like, that is the weirdest punishment ever.
Dumbest judge I've ever seen.
Yeah, what is that? Did that happen in Minnesota? Guys, did that happen in Minnesota?
Yes, that was filmed and set in Minneapolis.
Shame on Minnesota.
Yeah. You can tell by the fact that the limo is on an ice rink, or not even an ice rink, an ice pond when the kid's surrounded.
We don't acknowledge.
Yeah, might as well park your limit there or your limo there.
Did you say we don't acknowledge that movie?
Nope.
No,
not
it's still a great movie. Joshua Jackson, come on.
Yeah, I love Joshua.
So, I like the fact that Lucifer stands up to Asmodeus, even though he's just all front at this point. And I think, as you both were saying earlier, I think that the loss of his powers isn't really going to change him that much. The man is all ego. But he stands up, gets in Asmodeus's face. Even at the beginning, he says something about, like, runt of the litter, et cetera, et cetera. Little Asmodeus gets up, turns his eyes red, and Asmodeus goes, or Lucifer says, yeah, you know not to screw with me. And Asmodeus goes, yeah, that was the old you. I think the new you seems a lot more screwable, which I thought, oh, fuck Lemmings, really?
Really? Yeah, really. It was funny, though.
It was fun, yeah. The funniest part of it was this, just flicked, and both of them go flying.
Yeah.
And you see how much power this last Prince of Hell really has. Even against Cass, even against.
And another bar gets destroyed on Supernatural.
Yeah, but that's what expected at this point. If it doesn't get destroyed, I'm almost disappointed.
If you see a bar scene, at least one mirror and 5 bottles are getting broken.
And why isn't any of the newspapers covering this? A 13-year trail of broken bars. And nobody's noticed?
That'd be a good way to track them. Somebody should put that into question. All right, so we're getting a little short on time, so we're going to have to kind of move through the rest of them pretty quickly. Evil Colonel Sanders flicks them away, knocks them out. We see that Dean and Sam have tracked them down based on where Cass's phone is, and they show up at that very same bar where all is quiet until they get mobbed by a flock of demons. Is that the word? Flock? What's the
murder?
Word?
Murder of demons.
A murder of demons? They're crows?
A murder of demons, yeah. They're annoying like crows.
And things do not go well. They're kind of getting their butts kicked. There's a lot of demons, only 2 of them, until, of course, Alexander Ketch comes in to save the day, breaks a demon's arm, stabs a couple of demons in the throat and the chest, and
they were doing well at the beginning. Finally saw them using some angel blades, because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, why are they never fighting with angel blades ever?
They should have those things on them all the time.
Yes. So finally they busted them out. They took out 2 or 3 of them, but then they got the upper hand, and then Ketch came in to save the day.
Ketch comes in, sort of saves the day. Yeah, so we're left with Ketch and Sam standing on one side and Dean on the other, and as soon as Dean starts to point the gun at Ketch, Sam was like, "What? Oh, I'm gonna stand on this side." And it's clearly revealed that yes, this is in fact Arthur Ketch. He says everything I've been saying is true. I've been doing these, mercenary type missions. I've got a particular set of skills, but and I've been using the name Alexander. But the whole twin brother thing, no, that's BS. That's not real. And Dean says things basically like what you said earlier, Super. Like as soon as he asked about his mother, like he knew. He's seen him fight before. They fought together and against each other before. He knows his moves. He knows that's really Arthur. Mm-hmm. And Arthur, of course, admits it and tells them about how he survived and explains, in essence, why he's been looking for Rowena. Rowena had some sort of charm that she, I believe he said, sewed into her body. What does that
it was
mean?
like a poppet or a poppet, some kind of charm on like a voodoo doll that essentially takes her death and.
Yeah. Well, and they say, well, I'm sorry, but Lucifer burned her all up. So anything that might have been on her body went with it. She's dead, they say, and that's where he says, "Is she?
Is she?" Because we never saw the body. We saw a body lying on the floor, and him playing with the lock of red hair, but we never saw what happened afterwards.
That's true.
You know.
So odds that we see Rowena again before the season is over. Good, bad?
I'd say good 6 out of 10.
That would be good.
6 out of 10. We need a Red back on the show.
Oh,
please.
yeah.
If you're not going to bring Charlie back.
Either one, yeah. I would call it 4 out of 7. It's more likely than not.
Yeah, go Redhead.
So,
Yeah.
they make it real clear that now that they know he's really Arthur, they're gonna fight him. So he Batman's out of there. Just smoke cloud, run away.
With a bullet.
Catches a bullet in the arm. Yep, catches a bullet in the arm because, for a second I really thought Dean was going to take that shot as he was riding away on the motorcycle. He had it all lined up, closed the eye, and I thought, yeah, aim 10 feet in front of him. You probably got him. But no, he doesn't take the shot. Apparently bullets are too expensive. And then we cut and we see back in hell, Asmodeus giving what at first appears to be pure what's the word? Just telling the audience what they need to know.
Monologue.
Exposition. There we go. Yeah, at first it seemed like he was talking to himself with exposition. We see Cass in a cell. We see Lucifer in a cell. And he's talking about how, Lucifer is going to be useful when Michael comes around. Cass is going to be useful if we have to face the Winchesters. And then he sees actually talking to somebody. He's talking to a clean cut, in a suit, arm in a sling because he just got shot in it. Big old Arthur Ketch right at the end. And is that the huge twist that you were so upset about, Gia?
Yeah, that, and I'm just like, whatever. I was just so tired of this. I'm just.
Super, what did you think about it?
Fiction writing.
I said that I wanted. It was a joke that I said I wanted Ketch ruling hell. This is not what I intended. I would have actually preferred Ketch as a demon ruling hell than to be Asmodeus's little puppet dog. Now maybe he has an ulterior motive. Maybe he has some kind of trick up his sleeve. Maybe he's using Asmodeus to get Mary back. Who knows? If he does that, hey, kudos to him.
Well, that's an interesting idea. Maybe him using. Maybe yeah,
go. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. I think that's a really interesting idea. The possibility that he may be working towards getting Mary back from the other dimension. Mm-hmm. That hadn't occurred to me. I really like that idea.
Know that Mary's in the other dimension?
He would know. If he had contacts, he would know. He would have found out what. Yeah, he would have found out what happened on that beach and that. Or Asmodeus would have told him that Lucifer was off,
I just got the feeling that he was very much mercenary style right there. Like he's either, he's sort of offered his services to Asmodeus for whatever. So that's the end of the episode. We've got a very limited time left. Super, where do you think we're going next week? I don't know if there's any previews. I didn't see any. But
preview. Next week is straight Monster of the Week. It's one of its filler episodes, which is fine. I love the Monster of the Week episodes. Looked a little odd. I'm not quite sure what the premise of it was, but it's definitely a Monster of the Week where we're going to get a little break. They've done a lot of Myth Arc episodes for the most part in a row. Because even last week, which was fun and for the most part delightful, it was still a Myth Arc episode with Jack and spawning this week's Hellfest. So really,
Gia, where do you?
Yeah, go. Sorry,
Gia, where do you see us going with Asmodeus having those two in captivity?
Well, he's definitely going to use them to his advantage. I don't think it's going to work because Jack has been portrayed as not an ordinary demon or angel or person.
Right.
I don't think it's going to work.
Do you think that that's how Jack is going to be drawn out? The fact that both his dad and his foster dad are in cells next to each other?
We don't know how he's going to react to Lucifer. Really?
No, we don't.
No, and we definitely, that's something that we're going to see this season.
Yeah.
Right. And I think next week looks like it's setting up for a spin-off, actually. Reminded me that
It could have been. You could be right. They're doing another part of the backdoor pilot for the Wayward Daughters coming up.
like
So I don't know if
spin-off other than that. It looks like they're setting up another spin-off of
oh, no, they're not that crazy. One at a time. But they are having another part of Wayward Daughters coming up. It's either episode 8, 9, or 10. I think Ian might have frozen. Or ICZorro might have frozen. But I'll continue with, I think, as far as Jack goes, getting drawn out, I'm wondering if Asmodeus is going to do what Amara did. You remember how they trying to draw God out by torturing Lucifer? Right. I'm wondering if they're going to do that with Cass, which, surprise, surprise,
another Buck Lemmings episode.
Yeah, although in this case it wouldn't be them, right? Well, maybe they would be writing it if they end up writing the season hiatus like they typically do, which they have not nailed in the past 3 seasons. So we'll see, but they could be the route that they go. They're going to do that, and they're going to try and project it to his mind. So,
okay, mention Amazon.
Yeah, go again to our Malice page. What's the link? Malice-corp, malice-corp.com, and check out all of our articles that we wrote. I'm going to be dropping some good stuff this week. And
shop Black Friday from the Malice Corp website.
Exactly. Go hit up our Amazon links through there. You're going to be shopping anyways. So.
Oh, and Cyber Monday. Thank you, Eric. Cyber Monday. Definitely.
Yeah, we got Cyber Monday coming up. So please go through the website. Use our Amazon links to go through the website and have some fun shopping.
So where can we follow ICZorro?
He is on Twitter at ICZorro. He's on Instagram at ICZorro.
Okay, how about you?
Follow me at Twitter at Superwhovian Nut. You could follow me on Instagram if you want at Superwhovian Freak. But I forget I have an Instagram at times, so I'm more exciting on Twitter.
I've been doing my Twitter wrong. It's at Red with the capital R and then Meepaw with a capital M, and it's all one word. Red Meepaw.
I was wondering about that too, because I was tagging you today, and I was like, she doesn't have a space in her name. Does she?
No,
doesn't have a space in her name.
Oh, my kingdom for a space.
So that was really funny. But lots of good stuff happening on Twitter. We're trying to draw David Haydn-Jones out of hiding. We think he's in Twitter hiding. We haven't seen him all week since early Monday. They hid his. I'm going to give Supernatural this. They have spoiled every return almost. Got super popular. The only casting that they kept secret was when Rob Benedict came back at the end of the 200th episode. In the musical episode, they kept that a secret. Every other casting they have spoiled, and they didn't spoil this one. So kudos to everyone involved for not spoiling this, because fans have been begging on Twitter, tagging the writers, the producers, bring David Haydn-Jones back, bring David Haydn-Jones back. So lovely to see. And it was nice that Osric may have deflected a little bit, saying, yeah, here I come. Think you're done. And then all of a sudden, oh no, here he comes.
All right.
The crazy Brit.
Should really let them think about this.
Yeah. All right.
Bye, ICZorro. We missed you.
Yeah, bye, IC. Sorry your computer crapped out again. But come back next week. Don't forget to like the video if you're watching. Hit that little, come back and visit us next week. I don't know when they go on hiatus, but I do know that there was a promo, so chances are good we'll be back next Thursday. And we will see you all then.
All right. Bye.
Peace.